Hey Connor, this is Keaton Everett with ABC, going over your pitching video from camp. We go through and talk about your mechanics and your delivery and sort of get you to a spot where, you're sort of understanding mechanics, understanding sort of the basics behind it. We're going to look at sort of the setup, the initial, basically the initial setup dictates so much of how we're going to finish. It's one of the easiest sort of things to kind of fix and tweak a little bit. But it benefits you so much of how you're going to finish. All right? And then we're going to look at your foot strike. So once that front foot comes up and first hits the ground, what everything looks like, how our hips are working in relation to our upper body. Then we're going to look at our finish. So overall, pretty good, solid mechanics from you. You're getting good extension. Nothing's really showing up. From the fast motion here, nothing's really showing up too big. But there's a couple things that we can kind of work on initially off the bat, and then sort of at your foot strike to sort of generate a little bit more power, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But basically, we want to try to maximize our lower half. We want to use our legs and generate that velocity, and we'll talk about that a little bit. So initially, this first setup is what we look at. So once you come set right here, all right, we're going to draw a box over your head and where your weight is. So it looks like you're a little bit out over your front foot, which we don't like to see a whole lot. Alright, so as you lift, you can see that back head kind of come back out of that circle. So try to get to a point where you're set up already back over that back foot. Alright, that's just a small little hip movement, and all it's going to be is just kind of take these hips and just sort of move them back. Don't try to change your posture back here, moving your spine, but we just kind of want to see that head a little bit more over that back leg a little bit. Alright, that's just sort of something easy. And you can see the hand just sort of start going down as that leg lifts. And we're just sort of leaning here. You can see this lean out here. Your upper body wants to be back here, but that lower body sort of getting going a little bit too quick. All right. And one other thing too is watching the hands. To get consistent with our mechanics is all about eliminating excess movements and just getting to a point where it's just sort of the less we can move, the less excess stuff we can do, the easier it is to repeat. So I want you to watch your glove and watch what it does as we click forward. All right, you can see it go down, come back up, then come down and break. All right, so that motion, there's nothing wrong with doing that. The problem with it is it's too hard to time. So one time it might not come back up as far, it might come down farther. You just can't time it and get consistent with it enough where it's something that you want to keep doing. It's something that you want to try to work on. And you can see that when you finally do break your hands, it's about right here. Alright, so as we back up, sort of it's basically, it was underneath your shirt about right there. So just try to work on just keeping your glove locked in at this place and watch that sort of that extra movement of getting everything going. It's just going to be too hard to time. All right, and then I talked about sort of the initial hips getting going a little bit too early, not staying over the rubber. As you can see that when you do finally break your hands right here, you're already going. All right, it's good to have momentum, it's good to be driving down the hill, but we want to try to see those hands break somewhere back in here over that rubber. Probably somewhere around in this window is where we want those hands to break. So all you got to do is just get that initial weight back, stay over that rubber a little bit more, and break those hands. Basically, if you can break your hands there, that'd actually be about right here. Once that leg gets up to its highest point and then starts to go, that's when your hands should break. So you see it's just a little bit late. And that just your arm's just having to play catch up throughout the rest of your delivery. All right, so now at foot strike, all right, you're getting a pretty good job at getting extension, but again, because you're early and that weight's out forward, you're going to see a pretty big, land on your heel, sort of swing around right here, and it looks like your foot striking probably about right here. And you can see how your knees out over your ankle a little bit. We want to try to see you a little bit farther back, so your foot's probably landed about right here, and your knees behind your ankle a little bit more. All right, and that's just something of getting out front, rushing. That's just sort of a telltale sign of rushing. All right, and now what you also see is you're starting to see that left shoulder start to turn, start to pop open early. At your foot strike, we still want to see that elbow up above the glove, that glove out over that front foot. So you're just popping her open a little bit early. You're a little bit early with that front weight. You're a little bit early with that left shoulder, and all that is just sort of that function of that rush, and that's just all that leads to it. All right, you have a good angle here. Everything looks pretty good. All right, now it's just a matter of staying back, so then you can utilize that torque. That torque is you can see your hip starting to turn a little bit before that shoulder, which is good, but you're going to be able to get a little bit more. You know, we're probably going to try to get you to see more in this spot, and then that elbow still out here, you still haven't turned yet. All right, you can also see that foot looks like it's pointing a little bit directionally out towards you know, the left-handed hitters. So just try to make sure that you're still landing somewhere sort of straight on to a little bit closed. You just don't want to open up those hips a little bit too early, and that's all that rushing is doing. Is you can see everything swings open a little bit early as you're landing. All right, then we're looking at through our release. All right, you release the ball, and you're doing pretty good at getting out over your front foot. A lot of times we'll see guys a little bit more back in here, but what you're seeing is this leg collapsing. All right, you're not driving through your back leg far enough. Through all that finish, we want to see that leg completely straightened out. So you using every little last bit of that energy. All right, you get your head out over that front foot a little bit more. You're going to be releasing the ball a little bit closer. All right, all those are good things. So through that release, you know, you can see your back bends. Then that leg kind of comes up a little bit late. But we want to try to get you extended all the way through that back leg. So at this point, we're not flat, almost at 90 degrees. We're straight. All right, so just using more of that lower half. But again, that initial setup of just watching that extra movement with those hands so you can time yourself a little bit better, and then stay back a little bit longer, and it's going to sort of make things a lot easier for you, especially as you get older and get stronger. So, but again, overall, pretty good. Keep that left shoulder closed a little bit longer. Try to stay in your legs a little bit farther back. But, you know, you're going to have a great season this year. Thanks again for making it out to camp. Hopefully you had a great time, and we look forward to seeing you with ABC.